The storm did not arrive gently. It crashed into the land like a warning that came too late. The sky turned the color of wet ash, and the wind howled through the trees as rain began to fall in sharp, stinging sheets. The mother dog had been resting beneath an old shed at the edge of the field, her body curled protectively around her puppy, listening to the distant growl of thunder. Each flash of lightning made her ears twitch, but she stayed still, focused on the small, warm weight pressed against her belly. Then, in a single careless moment, a violent gust tore through the broken boards of the shed, startling them both. The puppy squeaked, slipped from her grasp, and tumbled into the darkness beyond the shelter. She stood frozen for a heartbeat, shock racing through her like fire. The familiar scent of her puppy was already thinning, torn apart by wind and rain. Panic surged. She rushed forward, nose low to the ground, rain blurring her vision as mud splashed up her legs. Thunder cracked overhead, so loud it seemed to split the sky. But she did not slow down. Every instinct in her body screamed that something precious was missing, something she could not live without. The field had become a nightmare. Water pooled in every hollow, grass flattened beneath the pounding rain, and the scent trail twisted and broke apart. She circled wildly at first, whining, then barking into the storm as if calling the puppy's name. Her voice was swallowed instantly by the wind. Lightning lit the land for a brief second, revealing fences leaning at strange angles and shadows that looked like threats waiting to move. Fear clawed at her chest, but she forced herself forward, trusting her nose, trusting her heart. She ran, slipping and stumbling, ignoring the pain as sharp stones cut her paws. Rain soaked her fur until it clung heavy against her skin, but still she ran. Every few steps she stopped, sniffed desperately, then changed direction again. The storm seemed determined to confuse her, washing away every trace of her baby, but she refused to give up. The thought of the puppy alone, cold and crying somewhere in the dark, pushed her onward. Another thunderclap shook the ground, closer this time. She flinched but kept going, muscles burning, breath coming fast and ragged. In the chaos of wind and water she caught it, just a hint of a familiar smell, faint but real. Her head snapped up, hope surging through her exhaustion. She turned toward it and broke into a run once more, racing straight into the heart of the storm, driven by one simple truth: no matter how fierce the night became, she would not stop until her puppy was found. Expend Part 2 in 500 words without headings. The scent grew stronger, then vanished again, teasing her like a fragile promise the storm was trying to steal. She slowed her pace, forcing herself to focus, nose sweeping low across the soaked ground. Rain streamed into her eyes, blinding her, but she blinked it away and pressed on. The world around her felt endless and hostile, every shadow shifting, every sound twisted by the wind. Yet beneath it all, beneath the roar of thunder and the slap of rain, her heart beat with a single purpose that refused to fade. She crossed what had once been a dirt path, now a rushing ribbon of muddy water. Each step sank deep, threatening to pull her down, but she fought through it, claws digging in. On the other side, tall grass whipped against her face, heavy with rain, bending and snapping like living things. She barked again, louder this time, her voice cracking with urgency. For a moment there was nothing in reply, and doubt crept in like cold. What if she was too late? What if the storm had already taken him somewhere she could not reach? She shook her head hard, as if to throw the thought away. Doubt was a luxury she could not afford. She moved on, guided by instinct, weaving between trees whose branches groaned and creaked overhead. A loud crack echoed through the night as one of them split, crashing to the ground behind her. She jumped, heart racing, but did not turn back. Every step forward felt like a defiance of the storm itself. The smell returned, clearer now, mixed with the sharp scent of wet bark and cold water. Her ears pricked forward, and she slowed again, circling carefully. Then she heard it, so faint she almost missed it, a thin, broken whimper carried on the wind. Her whole body tensed, and a low, desperate sound escaped her throat. She answered with a bark, softer now, pleading rather than calling. She followed the sound toward a cluster of fallen branches where water gathered in a shallow pool. The ground here was unstable, sliding beneath her paws, but she edged closer, sniffing frantically. Another whimper came, closer this time, and her heart surged with relief and fear all at once. She pawed at the tangled wood, pushing aside leaves and sticks, ignoring the sting as sharp twigs scraped her skin. Rain poured down her back as she worked, her breathing heavy, her movements frantic but careful. The scent was undeniable now, rich and familiar. He was here. Somewhere beneath the mess of broken branches and mud, her puppy was waiting. She pressed her nose deeper into the pile, whining softly, her body trembling. Not from the cold, but from the overwhelming need to reach him before the storm could do any more harm. Expend Part 3 in 500 words without headings. She dug with a fierce urgency, front paws tearing into the wet earth as if the ground itself were an enemy. Mud splashed up her legs and chest, coating her fur, but she barely noticed. Her claws scraped against hidden roots and stones, sending sharp jolts of pain through her limbs. Still, she kept digging, driven by the small broken sounds coming from somewhere just beyond her reach. Each whimper cut through her like a blade, pushing her to move faster, harder. A thick branch shifted under her weight, rolling aside with a dull crack. Cold water rushed in where it had been, soaking her paws, but it also revealed more of the space beneath. She shoved her nose forward, breathing in the familiar scent that told her she was close, so close. Her body trembled with effort as she pulled at loose wood, teeth clamping down on slippery bark, dragging it away piece by piece. The storm roared above her, but in that moment, the world narrowed to a single point, the place where her puppy was trapped. At last, she saw him. His tiny body was curled tight against the mud, fur plastered flat, eyes barely open. He let out a weak cry when he felt her touch, a sound so small yet so powerful it made her chest ache. She licked his face again and again, her tongue warm against his cold skin, urging him to stay awake. Her tail wagged despite everything, a fragile sign of hope flickering through her exhaustion. She nudged him gently, testing, then slipped her body closer, shielding him from the rain as best she could. Lightning flashed, lighting up the pool of water around them, and she knew they could not stay there. With careful movements, she hooked her teeth into the loose skin at the back of his neck, lifting him the way instinct had taught her. Her legs shook under the added weight, but she adjusted her grip and stepped back, placing him on higher ground for a moment while she cleared more debris. When she lifted him again, she held him tight against her chest, turning her body sideways to block the wind. Each step away from the fallen branches felt uncertain, the ground slick and uneven, but she moved slowly, deliberately. The puppy's breathing was shallow, his small body trembling, and she paused often to lick his ears and face, reassuring him with soft, steady sounds. Behind them, the storm showed no mercy. Thunder rolled on, rain pounding down as if angry at their escape, but she did not look back. She focused on the path ahead, on the familiar scent of home, carried faintly through the rain. Her paws hurt, her muscles burned, and her breath came in short bursts. Yet she walked on. In that relentless night, soaked and wounded, she carried not just her puppy, but the fierce, unbreakable promise of a mother who would not let go. Expend Part 4 in 500 words without headings. The storm began to loosen its grip as the long night slowly bled into dawn. The rain softened from a furious downpour to a tired drizzle, and the thunder drifted farther away, as if the sky itself had finally exhausted its anger. The mother dog kept moving, even when every step sent pain through her body. Her fur was heavy with water and mud, her paws raw and aching, but she did not stop. She adjusted her grip on the puppy again and again, careful not to hurt him, pausing whenever his small body trembled too hard against her chest. A faint, familiar shape emerged through the thinning rain, the old shed where the night had begun. It looked smaller now, broken and tired, but to her it felt like safety. She pushed through the grass and ducked beneath the damaged boards, laying the puppy gently on the driest patch of earth she could find. He whimpered once, then settled as she curled her body around him, creating a shield against the lingering cold. Her tongue moved constantly, cleaning the mud from his fur, warming him with steady, rhythmic licks. Minutes passed, or maybe hours. Time felt meaningless after the terror of the storm. Slowly, the puppy's shaking eased. His breathing grew stronger, more even. He opened his eyes fully for the first time since she had found him and let out a small, questioning sound. At the sound of it, something deep inside her, Fina, Lee relaxed. She lowered her head, pressing her nose to his, breathing him in as if to make sure he was real. Outside, the rain stopped altogether. Clouds thinned and parted, allowing pale morning light to spill across the wet ground. The world looked washed clean, almost gentle, as birds began to call from the trees. The storm had taken so much strength from her, but it had not taken what mattered most. She watched as the puppy struggled onto unsteady legs, wobbling, then collapsing into her side. His tiny tail gave a weak wag, brushing against her fur. She nudged him softly, encouraging him, and he tried again. This time he managed to stand for a heartbeat longer before pressing his face into her neck. The simple gesture filled the space between them with warmth greater than any sunlight. She closed her eyes, breathing deeply, letting the calm settle into her bones. The danger was over. They were together. As the sun rose higher, drying the ground and warming the air, she remained there, still and watchful, her body curved protectively around her puppy. The night's fear faded into memory, replaced by a quiet certainty. No matter how dark the storm, no matter how loud the thunder, love had carried her through. And in that peaceful morning light, with her puppy safe against her heart, the world felt whole again.